Welcome back to Getaway, where I'm on island time as part of a Tasmanian handcrafted journey with Scenic. Hobart, last stop before the Antarctic big freeze. But don't let that deter you. This is a glorious city. It kind of scrambles from the shores of the sparkling Derwent, giving it a haphazard nature and an old world maritime vibe. It's the kind of place where you'd expect to find a bearded old sea dog chasing a bitter with a dram of firewater and belting out a rendition of a bawdy sea ditty. And perhaps the best way to see this city is with a bearded old sea dog. Well, he may need to work on the beard a bit longer, but Rob Pennicott is definitely on his way to being an old sea dog. And I mean that with complete respect. I always forget just how beautiful, but how big, how vast the Derwent is.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest harbours of Australia and also one of the deepest. Just grew up around here and on the waterways, and yeah, it is beautiful.
Where are we going today?
We're coming out of the Derwent, looking at a bit of the real estate. We're going to go to the oldest lighthouse in Australia that started flashing in 1832.
Right, that's the Iron Pot.
The Iron Pot, that's right.
The Iron Pot cruise is my scenic free choice activity. And having grown up on these waters, Rob knows every nautical inch of them.
Okay, what we'll do in here, David, we'll just go in nice and close.
What is it?
Well, this is volcanic Jurassic dolerite, and we've got a gulch here, so the sea cave would have caved in, leaving the gulch.
A gulch? I always thought gulch is where the baddies in westerns hide.
Well, you can be the baddie today if you want.
Are we going in there?
Yep, and I'll get you close enough to touch it, so I'd get up the front if I were you.
Is that wise?
We'll see.
Oh, you really can get up there.
Did you manage to touch the rock there?
Yeah. I've touched the rock. I've seen the lights. South of the gulch, we pass cliffs, secret fishing spots, blowholes, and even Rob's parents' place.
Well, this is where Mum and Dad lives. It's where I grew up, and they bought 10 acres here for $12,500. You couldn't give it away. But I've got them trained to come out onto the balcony, but probably not bring the scones down.
Oh.
G'day, Mum! Hi, Dad! We've got Getaway here today! Lots of love, see you in the morning!
The titular character in this tour, however, is the Iron Pot Lighthouse. Thrusting up from Storm Bay, it's the oldest lighthouse in Australia. They don't muck around with the design of it, do they? It's quite sort of Bauhaus or something. It's very solid, isn't it?
It is, but the most incredible thing is if we had to build something like that now, OH&S would be all over you. It'd be so huge in cost, and back then it was just no big deal.
Yeah, and this is where the Sydney to Hobart comes through here.
That's right, comes round that point, Cape Rowell, through Storm Bay, and then you've got the Tasman Sea, Southern Ocean, then nothing between here and Antarctica, 2,500 kilometres, and if you look really carefully on the horizon, David, you won't see a thing. If a Derwent River tourboat skipper or the chilling bracing breeze doesn't convince you of Hobart's closeness to Antarctica, this will. In here you'll find pristine examples of glaciated landscapes and the deciduous beech, one of the species that confirmed connection to the ice previously by proving continental drift. All scenic Tasmanian land journeys offer the chance to visit Mount Field National Park, a 90-minute trip by bus from Hobart. The Palawa people knew this place when it was still buried in glacial ice, but by the 1830s, the first white people found rich hunting grounds for animals before eventually becoming Tasmania's first national park in 1916. Let's face it, when it comes to wilderness, Tasmania invented it. In fact, more than 20% of Tasmania is wilderness, including this glorious slice of paradise right here, which is also home to a virtual roll call of weird Australian critters, including, if you are to believe the kind of local that leans against a bar with a theory or two, the Tasmanian tiger. Welcome back to my handcrafted journey through Tasmania with Scenic, which has now brought me to the historic and charming city of Launceston. The thing about Launceston is it's always just gentle and easy. It may be the 17th largest city in Australia, but it's the second biggest in Tasmania. It's a humming hub of food and wine, of culture and nature. It's a vibrant city reeking of country charm. After Matthew Flinders mapped the Furneaux group of islands, he headed up the Tamar River to seek shelter from passing storms and found some fertile countryside perfect for farming and a ready-made river for shipping. Wherever there's a river, there are usually some delightful examples of creaking industry, and I quite like it when that inspires industrial architecture, you know, the resurrection of structures of enterprise past. Particularly like this when it's the transformation of some grimy agricultural facility left as a blot on the landscape. But although architects want to leave their mark with some design folly, a curve's got to present a challenge, surely. Designed within the original silos is the Peppers Silo Hotel, our scenic special stay for the night. Once used to store grain before shipping, they've been transformed into a sophisticated modern hotel featuring curved rooms and very few right angles. As well as a restaurant serving up the best Tasmanian produce, the hotel is unique for another reason. Its resident pooch, Archie.
Come on, Archie.
A beautiful black Labrador who, failing to pass his guide dog test, found a home here as a kind of canine concierge. Archie here has taken the concept of late checkout to a ridiculous level. He lives at the hotel. Although Launceston is the third oldest city in Australia with some magnificent Victorian-era buildings, there was, of course, an even older civilization already here when Flinders sailed up the Tamar. It's interesting, isn't it? If you grew up in Tasmania, the chances are you were told that there was no such thing as Tasmanian Aboriginal people.
So yeah, welcome to our Elder Centre. If you'd like to come through, we have some of our elders in here to meet you.
This Aboriginal experience is a highlight in Launceston and will be included in the scenic itineraries for 2023.
This
Hello
is
there.
Uncle Clyde, Auntie Rose,
Yarpalingana.
and
Hello and
Auntie
welcome.
Sharon at the end there.
Hello. There are a number of different walks and experiences that can be enjoyed, but all start here with a yarn.
Tasmania was the only state that claimed that they'd exterminated the Aboriginal race. So most people have been brought up and educated in that regard.
Use this area as meeting and
For today's walk, we are staying pretty local and heading to one of Launceston's most spectacular spots, Cataract Gorge. This has been a meeting place for locals for thousands of years, and as Carlita tells me, there's plenty of food to be had as well.
we can see all of these big shrubby bushes, and this is actually bush tucker.
Oh, I was going to say, you're going to tell me you can eat this now,
Yep.
eh?
So all of these big seed pods, we can actually eat them raw like that.
You want me to eat this?
If you'd want to try it, that'd...
It's going to taste terrible, isn't it?
No, it will taste fine.
Really?
Yep.
What is it?
It's a lamandra seed.
It's all texture, no taste, really. isn't it?
Yeah.
Cataract Gorge is also home to the longest single-span chairlift in the world. And if you don't fancy braving that, a very easy walk takes you to the beautiful King's Bridge, which leads us to a fascinating history lesson. So, what do we have here? These are all implements that are important to you.
Yes, and implements have been used since the beginning of time, or at least 48,000 years that we know of.
So these are clapsticks?
Yeah, these are clapsticks, music sticks. Used a lot around the campfire and ceremony and dancing, singing, which was a huge part of our life and a huge part here at the Gorge.
Learning this history over some fine Tasmanian cheese and dips is a very enriching morning here in Launceston. And whether it's ancient culture, colonial culture, or the more recent trendy culinary culture, that's great.
Yeah.
The Tamar Valley region really has something for everyone. Nestled in the vineyards on the banks of the Tamar River is Turner's Gin Distillery.
Where possible, we use as many local ingredients as we can. We've got some great local Tasmanian limes and lemons that are infused and distilled with our gin, and wherever possible, embracing that local element.
These are new generation gins, different to the dry London style you might have grown up with. Don't take my word for it, a tour of the Turner Stillhouse distillery includes an obligatory tasting.
So you get some nice fresh lime notes in there, a little bit of floral, a little bit of spice in the back end, and a little bit of sweetness as well.
And totally warming.
So very warming.
And if gin and whiskey is not your thing, literally right next door is Tamar Ridge Wines, all part of this scenic wine, spirit and culinary tour.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.